We've got a video from Doug Ford, who is he takes a jab at Danielle Smith, but he accidentally takes a jab at himself, if you're paying attention, because
Punches
Alberta's, yeah,
punches himself in the face.
stop it, Doug. You're hurting yourself. Stop it, Doug. You're hurting yourself. So he says, of course, Danielle Smith doesn't like Ontario's anti-tariff ad. And then I'll just let you watch Doug Ford just pull the trigger on his own foot here. Just watch.
Well, sure enough. Yeah, well, of course, Danielle Smith doesn't like the ads because she's not getting her auto annihilated, her manufacturing, her steel, her life science sector. She has a commodity called oil that Americans need and want. So she's going to be fine. Ontario won't be fine if we sign a lousy deal. I'd rather have no deal than a terrible deal that will cost jobs here in Ontario.
So we have a product that the consumer wants. And he admitting that he doesn't have a commodity that
Right,
the
that
Americans
steel
want,
and
that they can get it elsewhere?
that steel and aluminum can come from other places. Is that what he's saying by default? Kind of sounds like it. Doesn't sound like a nation building exercise to me. If you
Yeah,
hear Doug
that's
Ford
Team
tell it,
Canada right there.
ooh, that does I don't Westerners don't like the sound of that. We'd
Yeah,
rather have no deal than a bad deal for Ontario. Well, you just sunk Ontario's ship, not us.
right.
Not us. You did that, Doug.
Yeah, and everybody else for that matter. I mean, thank goodness our premier has been doing her best to outreach into Republican circles to sort of insulate us from this nonsense. But can you imagine if she had bent to the pressure of the Team Canada elbows up crowd early on when everybody was calling her a traitor,
Yep.
how bad things would be out here?
And if you want to know how bad it's, follow the idiot. When the only meeting that they had, Team Canada, where they all agreed to be like, we're gonna build a nation, we're gonna be united Canada, we're gonna. Danielle Smith was not in the room. Okay, Danielle Smith was not in the room, and the rest of these buffoons, the premiers and the prime minister, decided that they were going to take this approach. All it needed was for her to be there to not take this antagonistic stance. And this is still fallout from that moment. Still fallout from that moment. Doug Ford can't be trusted. Like not to say stupid things. A couple months ago, we mentioned on this program that somebody should shove a pair of underwear in Doug Ford's mouth to stop him from talking, and that nobody took our advice. Nobody took us up on that.
Hypothetically,
Obviously.
metaphorically speaking, don't write us letters.
Right,
Of course,
right. No,
we
no,
don't
no.
want anybody
Yes,
to
yes.
attack
No, but
Doug
just,
Ford, but
just,
somebody else out
no,
there will
no.
say, this is what Sheila and Lise said. Of
But
course.
just like this is what we meant. Doug, be
Just zip
quiet. And
it. Why
now,
is everything he does turns to crap?
yes,
Stop it. You're
yes.
not helping. And as I said yesterday on the show, given the American reaction to that ad, given that Doug Ford produced it, given that a progressive conservative linked ad company created it, given that it could end up with a Reagan Center lawsuit, given that it ended trade negotiations, and given that Mark Carney and his chief of staff knew about it.
Oh,
In
saw it and
a,
vetted it ahead of time. Oh,
in a normal country, a mistake like this, and I don't think it was a mistake, by the way, I'm conspiratorial on this, but something like this would result in mass resignations of everybody involved. Thousands of jobs could be cost by this one huge mistake. Billions of dollars nuked from the Canadian economy. And Doug Ford is out there saying it's a success. Are you kidding me? He should be resigning, and everybody who knew about this should be resigning because Donald Trump may be unpredictable, sure. But the one thing we do know about him is he doesn't take insults kindly.
no, he does not. No, he does not. Nope. This is Doug Ford really crapped the bed here, and we're going to pay for it, Canada.
Yeah. And yet, NDP Premier David Eby in British Columbia, the man who threatened to cut the Americans off from the highway they built, in like 8 months, by the way, if that's any indication of where nation building projects are these days, where it can take like a decade to get a project done. They built the Alaska Highway in like 8 months during wartime. He threatened to cut the Americans off from it. And now he's going to go down the same destructive path as Doug Ford with his own ad campaign. My goodness. What is this going to do for the sovereignty movement in Alberta when we've got clowns to the left of us, jokers to the right?
So good. Such a good line.
There's a lot of work and preparation that has to go into getting them ready for the job market. It's not just about hammering out a resume, it's about making sure that they have the adequate supports. Some people don't often realize some of the struggles that some of these people go through. Not only are they connected to the work, but they're also connected to our whole mission and what we do as an organization.
Yeah.
Entire idea behind Premier Ford's advertising campaign, although I acknowledge ours was of a decidedly different scale, is to get the message out to Americans about the impact of tariffs on Americans. The only people paying the additional 10% that the president announced the other day are Americans. Their prices are going to go up. They are going to feel the impact directly. And getting that message to Americans as well as American decision makers is crucial. We are going to exercise all of our ability to get the word out, including advertising to Americans. We reserve the right to do that. And we recognize that we're part of a team. So with that, I'm very much looking forward to our emergency meeting with the federal government in the coming days.
Okay, Americans aren't going to feel any pain. Americans are going to find other places to buy the products they need. That's what they're going to do. They're going to skip over Canada and buy the things that we produce from other places. This is going to have the exact opposite effect that David Eby thinks it's going to.
I just don't understand what's wrong with these people. Like, why do they look at the disaster Doug Ford created and then they say, give us some of that too? The Americans already don't like you. You have to stop. Wab Kinew did the same thing. He sat down and sort of did a sort of similar mock-up to what the Ontario Progressive Conservatives did. Yeah. What makes you think this is helpful? How do you think that you're winning? I don't think they even care about winning. You know what I think? I said it yesterday. I think that the Liberals and their enablers in Doug Ford's cabinet and his inner circle know that they could potentially be headed for an election sooner rather than later. Their budget may not pass the House of Commons, and so they don't have anything. They've done nothing since Mark Carney got elected, and so we're going back to the well of anti-Americanism, elbows up nonsense in advance of that, and they have Doug Ford's help to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But imagine what it's like to be a Westerner right now, where you see the again, what did you say? What was the line?
The left of us, jokers to the right. Here we are stuck in the middle with Saskatchewan.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. It's sort of Saskatchewan and Alberta against the rest of them. And if they want to be doofuses, and sink their own ships, go ahead, be my guest. Go ahead, be my guest. Do it. Sink your ships. Fail utterly. I don't care. I don't want to be along on this ride anymore.
Right.
I don't want to participate in this garbage anymore.
It feels like we're the hostage in the trunk of the car.
We are because we are.
Yeah.
The provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan in the trunk of a car, handcuffed with a piece of tape over our mouths by the rest of the country. It's really quite aggravating. But thank goodness we have Danielle Smith and Premier Scott Moe advocating for our provinces and our natural resources and the future of Western Canada.
Doug Ford says that they're talking about it in the US, so mission accomplished. Oh, they're talking, Doug Ford, but they won't be talking to you or Mark Carney and making any sort of deal. We've got this headline from CTV News. This is Ambassador Hoekstra. We can even watch the video. He says Canada burned the bridges. U.S. ambassador doubts tariff deal feasible before the new year. So 2026.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, so I don't know if we want to play Ambassador Hoekstra. I think it's like a minute 43.
I like to see it.
Me too. Let's watch.
I don't know how we get this back on track.
That comment after Ambassador Pete Hoekstra had a conversation with Donald Trump on Saturday, the same day the U.S. president threatened an additional 10% tariff on Canadian products.
He didn't give me any, clear indication or any indication at all that he was in any hurry to get back to the negotiating table and get an agreement.
While criticizing how Canadian media framed the recent breakdown of trade talks, the ambassador said Ontario's anti-tariff ad and comments by other premiers was akin to meddling in American affairs.
Doug Ford and Eby were starting to play in domestic American politics, potentially affecting a Supreme Court decision, potentially affecting politics, an election that is 8 days out, and for sure having an impact in the midterm elections.
Hoekstra admits American businesses are grappling with the uncertainty caused by the strained trading relationship between Canada and the U.S. But after the contentious commercial, the U.S. is taking no blame for the current state of the relationship.
Canada burnt the bridges with America. Donald Trump did not slam the door. Canada slammed that door shut all by itself.
The ambassador did say last week the U.S. had been confident sectoral deals could have been hammered out by American Thanksgiving. But now Hoekstra says he doesn't know what it'll take to get people back to the table in a constructive and positive mood. Omar.
Ooh, he said, I don't know how we get this back on track, which is code for the government of Canada is off the rails. That's another way to say that. And basically what it comes down to is now the United States is viewing Canada as foreign interference, or as the government of Canada has undertook foreign interference. You think the Americans are going to think well of this? You don't think they're going to have a visceral reaction? Of course they would. Oh, this is a disaster for the government of Canada.
Yeah, this is really bad. And Doug Ford is still calling it like the best ad campaign ever.
Well, but what we're learning here is that these guys live in such a cloistered, nepotistic environment. Everybody that Doug Ford knows and is paying, or makes their living off of Doug Ford being premier of Ontario, is telling him that he is doing a great job. And it's up to the people of Ontario to rein him in, because obviously, destroying a relationship that's as important as the one we have with America shouldn't be left to continue much longer.
Yeah, I don't know how everybody in Doug Ford's circle isn't telling him that this is an absolute catastrophe.
To shush. Yes.
Yeah. We also have this headline from the National Post. A moment of honesty from the energy minister. Not that I agree with him, but I'm glad he is telling us the truth. Can Canada build a new oil pipeline? That's over focusing on a hypothetical. Mark Carney's values energy minister says, I think Canada can build many things. Of course, one of them is not a pipeline. And this is what I said about C5. When everyone's like, yeah, we got to pass C5 and we got to give the government powers to decide what is in the national interest instead of what is technically sound, which is how it used to be. Now the national interest projects are chosen on a political basis.
Right.
And now we know that they will not choose pipelines. And even if they did, they've outsourced the voice of no to British Columbia and to Quebec anyway. So great.
Right. Well, I guess we can rest assured that all the nation building projects will be, gender equitable.
Yeah. Yeah. Or we'll be exporting green tech to other places, and Mark Carney's friends will just get richer. or Mark Carney himself, as we'll get to
Right.
later on.
Right.